Hello folks, and welcome to this, the November 1st, 2015 edition of Decision 2016 Digest. I'm your host, Scott Jones. We're the channel that brings you the top 2016 election headlines in 15 minutes or less. And this week it was all about the CNBC GOP debate. Quite a train wreck, but some distinguishable moments for the GOP field in what was a very contentious debate, although I thought probably the more entertaining, if not informative debates of the three so far for the GOP field. The headline from the CNBC debate in terms of the GOP field could be summed up in this one slide, and that is Jeb's exchange with Marco Rubio suggesting he should resign. I have a comical slate here with Rubio responding, I heard you were dead, because what has happened is the fallout of it is Jeb's attack on Rubio has led a lot to believe that his campaign is in true trouble. A lot of people thought that leading up to this debate, but it led to a lot of shrill headlines almost saying that Jeb Bush is dead. But that was kind of the headline of the exchange of the debate. By and large, CNBC has been slammed by their fellow media outlets, pundits, and everybody alike. Why? Two things. Number one, the debate became about the moderators and their snark and their gotcha questions and their bias versus doing what debates are supposed to do, delivering distinguishable differences between the candidates and information on the key issues to the American voting public. CNBC successfully sent in what I believe to be almost a junior varsity team, and a couple of the people there had no business moderating a nationally televised GOP or presidential debate of any kind. But in any event, what ended up happening is the GOP candidates ended up taking over. They turned, you know, we as conservatives, we understand there's a media bias out there in the mainstream media and that it skews liberals. But never in all of my political career and observation have I seen such over-the-top questioning, snark, and condescension coming from a moderator panel. What did this do? It opened up the opportunity for the GOP field, ranging from Chris Christie to Ted Cruz to Marco Rubio to John Kasich and even Mike Huckabee, to turn some of the snark questions onto the moderators, and got the crowd booing the moderators and kind of taking over the format of the debate. That was universally panned, not only by those in the GOP and what's happening in their partisan view of the world, but even the peers of CNBC and the media thought it was just a disaster. So the candidates kind of took over. Two people rose to the top and kind of shined during that whole process. One was Marco Rubio. You know, I had that slate at the beginning in the exchange between Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio. I want to show you a piece of video. I thought Marco Rubio really moved to the top with his response to Jeb Bush on this. If you haven't seen it, it's about 1:28. I want you to take a look at this video that says it all. I think Marco Rubio came out on top in that exchange, and most of the pundits agree with me that it was a jaw-dropping moment for most of us observers, because number one, Jeb Bush is known as a happy warrior campaigner. Number two, he looked uncomfortable doing it. But number three, he wasn't ready to get sassed back from his younger protege, Marco Rubio. Marco was ready for it and got the best of him. But the pivotal moment, I think, when it comes to pointing out the weaknesses in the CNBC debate came when Ted Cruz took on the moderators. Again, about 1.5 minutes of video. It is TV worth watching if you're paying attention. Let's see Ted Cruz dissemble this junior varsity panel. You know, when it comes to debates, it's hard to beat Ted Cruz when it comes to making a point or scoring a point here. That clip was a little bit long, but that's just one of a number of moments that I consider high points that Ted Cruz had in the debate, and there were more from Marco Rubio. I encourage you to seek them out and take a look. Jeb just stunk up the place. His donors have been nervous. They had a meeting in Houston. I believe I mentioned it to you last episode, kind of regrouping. It seems to me that their strategy is to attack Marco Rubio. I don't think Marco Rubio is the problem. I think Jeb Bush and getting his messaging straight is the problem. He stunk up the place in his attack on Marco Rubio and had really a lackluster performance. Now, in Jeb's defense, here's the type of questions that were going on here. I mean, can you believe that this was billed as a financial debate that was going to cover the economy, jobs, the Fed, all these things? It ended up being a bunch of gotcha questions, and one question that went to Jeb Bush is, what was his position on fantasy football betting? Again, it just goes downhill from there. As a result, GOP Chairman Reince Priebus has canceled the upcoming debate with NBC. He's canceled it. I think they may kiss and make up and, you know, work it out. But they were so angry that the RNC has now canceled the forthcoming debate with NBC. Trump was kind of a non sequitur. He got off a couple of good one-liners. He was pretty passive compared to past performance. And then Carson is Ben Carson. He was just steady as she goes. Had a couple of highlights, but in general, he did no harm to his campaign and was steady as she goes. But that's Ben Carson. Speaking of Ben Carson, he continues to lead in Iowa. There have now been multiple polls that have shown Ben Carson widening his lead in Iowa, much to the chagrin of Donald Trump. And in fact, in one situation, I have these bullets out of order here on the screen, but in a speech in Iowa, Trump turned the audience and said something along the lines of, "Come on, people, this is awful." And the insinuation was he was blaming them as to why he was behind in the polls. It was an awkward moment, but make no mistake about it, Carson has gained on and in many instances overtaken Donald Trump in the key early state of Iowa, and there are now multiple polls that show that. Jeb is simply in damage control right now. The fallout from this debate, I just finished watching the morning Sunday shows, and he's done some sit-down interviews. He is much better in long format. He's not a great debater, but that's part of the process, and he's going to have to get good at that, and he's going to have to get some better advice. But by any stretch, Jeb Bush is in damage control. So, you know, if I were to sum it up, it was a great week for Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. Chris Christie helped himself in that debate, but that's about it. And also, mark your calendars, I think 9 days from today, or to be a week from this Tuesday, as it were, is an upcoming Fox Business Network debate. And Neil Cavuto and Maria Bartiromo will be the moderators, and I guarantee you they will get to substantive economy and business and jobs and all of that. Those kind of questions with those moderators. You'll see a distinct difference in the quality of the questions. In other news, Paul Ryan last week was in. This week he's been elected House Speaker. A lot of people expect him to bring a little bit more order and a little bit more calmness to Congress. That remains to be seen. I think he's got a honeymoon period of about 35 minutes. He took it. Good on him for taking the job. He didn't want the job. It is a thankless job. It's like herding cats with multiple personality disorders. I don't know why anybody would take it, but you know what? That speaks to Paul Ryan's character. He stepped up to the job for the betterment of the country, and good on him for it. The other news is Special Forces, only 50, but it's a step in the right direction. 50 Special Forces of the U.S. military have been deployed by President Obama to Syria to advise and counsel. Maybe it'll help with the airstrikes in the war on ISIS. I think it's too little too late. I hope he's not putting 50 people in harm's way unnecessarily by doing the minimum that needs to be done. But by all stretch, my money would be on the Special Forces on 5 times as many ISIS fighters because they're that good. Just pray for them and pray for their safety in the Middle East. I'm going to take tomorrow off. We're going to repeat our interview with, who did we have on? We had Noah Rothman and Rich Botkin, the producer of a new movie called Ride the Thunder about the Vietnam War. I was at the DFW premiere of Ride the Thunder with Rich Botkin here in Dallas last evening, yeah, Saturday evening, and it was a great time. It's a great movie. It sets the record straight on a lot of Vietnam era myths and tales. I recommend you get the book, and I recommend you see the movie. But again, tomorrow, tune in for Pops, and we'll have a repeat of a great review of the CNBC debate with Noah Rothman and my interview with Rich Botkin on Ride the Thunder. That's it for now. Look down in the description. You can listen to my radio show tomorrow by hitting the link in the description, the405media.com. Also, for my viewers and listeners of the radio show, if you like listening to books instead of reading them, I've got a special deal from audible.com. The link's down in the description. If you hit that link and sign up, your first month is free and your first book download is free. And even if you decide to cancel, there's no obligation, but try it out. Audible.com, down in the description. That's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and put on your calendar the Fox Business Network debate. We do the best we can to keep you informed. If you like what we're doing here, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It lets us know you appreciate what we're doing here. That's it for now. Until next week, stay tuned, stay alert, and we'll talk to you then.